Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. This is Fame with Tiffany Renee, aka Golden Sea Life. Hope you all are doing well. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. If you've been here before, welcome back. Thanks for stopping back by. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for your wonderful likes and your subscriptions and your wonderful comments. Please hit the bell icon so that you're notified every time I upload a video or a short or a post or something like that. I appreciate it so much. And if you want to work with me, if you want an intuitive reading or anything like that, if you want to get in on the intuition workshop that's going on for just 2 more weeks, there's only 4 more sessions left, feel free. Click the link in the box below. All of my ebooks are also available on my website, and you can download those. And there's some good stuff on there. So all of that will be in the description box below. Now, let's jump right into this video, okay? Because as you can see about the title, it probably sounds a little bit clickbaity, but not really, because it's a genuine question. We're talking about our friend optimism today. And I wanted to talk about this because I've noticed over a long period of time a pattern starting to develop when it comes to people being optimistic and positive. Now, the pattern that I discovered is that along the way, optimism and being positive started to become villainized. And optimism suddenly became a villain. Being positive all of a sudden became the villain. Like that's not what you want to do. That's not a good thing to do. And multitude of evidence that people have provided to support why optimism and being positive is detrimental to the human psyche. Now, some have clarified and only talked about toxic positivity, which we're going to come back around to that. Because to me, I think that's the answer. I think that is why our friend, our homie optimism, has gotten a bad rap. Because of toxic positivity. Okay? And we're going to talk about that later in the video. Optimism is not the villain. Okay? I'm just going to declare that. That is my statement. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Optimism is not a villain. It is okay to be optimistic about things. It is okay to look on the bright side of things. It's okay to be able to acknowledge that I am seeing something in my 3D, or I'm feeling something in my body, or I am, experiencing something, witnessing something, and my body and my emotions feel uncomfortable or discontent, and et cetera, et cetera. It's okay to feel those emotions. I've said it many times. Feel your feelings. Do not invalidate your feelings, okay? But don't stay there, because your emotions, okay, which is just a natural reaction to stimuli from the 3D reality, your emotions do not equate to whether or not your manifestation is coming or whether or not you're going to get what you want. Your emotions do not dictate whether or not you are going to get your desires. They have nothing to do with that. I'm sure there's a lot of people who would disagree. Bless. Feel free to disagree. I mean, that's wonderful. And I'm sure you have an incredible perspective as to why you disagree. My perspective, based on my own personal journey and my own studying and research and me going down the rabbit hole, from my perspective, and the information being filtered through my mind that I've been collecting from the 3D is telling me that emotions, they don't dictate you getting your manifestations, because we're constantly manifesting. Whether you feel happy, sad, joyful, frustrated, depressed, anxious, it does not matter. You are still manifesting 24/7, 365, period. Your entire existence is a manifestation. We're constantly manifesting, whether we think we are or not. So when someone says, "Oh, I'm manifesting something," they're talking about deliberate manifestation, conscious manifestation. They see something that they want, and they are attuning their vibration, their frequency. They're doing whatever they feel called to do, or whatever they feel inspired to do, to get into vibrational alignment, to experience something they're not currently experiencing in their 3D. That's deliberate manifestation. You're deliberately aware that you don't have something, and you are shifting your perception to you now having it. And then somehow, some way, the bridge of incidence is orchestrated, and then it comes to you. It shows up and materializes in a 3D form, or that 3D experience. So, what does that have to do with being optimistic? First of all, it reminds you that all is not lost. It reminds you that everything you are seeing and feeling and experiencing, even if it brings you to your knees, it is only one quantum possibility out of infinite, which means you can always choose a different timeline. You can choose a different reality. You can choose to be a different version of yourself who is not experiencing that. You can choose for that group of people to be a different version of themselves that's not experiencing that thing. You can choose to be in an environment where that environment is not environmenting the in the way that does not please you. You can choose your way out of every circumstance and every timeline. That is science. And because you know that, you can be optimistic, because you know that your current circumstance, your 3D reality, is not the be all end all. I am allowed to be optimistic. You're allowed to be optimistic. I'm allowed to be positive, even if the 3D looks like, through interpretation, that life is completely gone to pot. You're still allowed to be optimistic. You're still allowed to see the light through the darkness, because it always exists. It has to, because there can't be darkness without light. You are allowed to just say, I am choosing to only seek out the light in this situation. I am choosing to only find the gratitude in this situation. I am choosing only to see the God part of that human being or of those people. You can choose that. It is a choice. It is not delusional. Like many people love to say that, oh, you're just super optimistic. You can't pretend that, life isn't lifing and this and this and this. You're just delusional. Or if you really think that you're going to get that person to be your SP, you're delusional. Or if you really think that you're going to get that job and your resume is clearly showing that you're not qualified, you're delusional. Or if you think that you really can do something that goes against the status quo, or what we've been trained to believe can or cannot happen, you're delusional. Oh, you've been diagnosed with this horrible thing. You really think you're going to survive? You're being delusional. Do you see what I'm saying? The word delusional gets thrown around and gets slapped on to optimistic behavior so much that it appears that anyone who is too positive, or too optimistic automatically gets categorized as someone who's delusional. who lives in a fantasy land, who isn't being realistic. Oh, you live in an idealized fantasy. Do you see what I mean? Where in reality, you are just choosing out of the smorgasbord of choices that you have when it comes to that circumstance. You're just making a better choice. And the choice that you're making is making you feel better. It's a choice that's better for you. What's delusional about that? Right? What's delusional about that? The delusional thing would be knowing that there's another option, knowing that there's a way that you can respond differently to this situation, knowing that there's another answer, knowing that this is not the be all end all, but reacting and choosing to dig your heels into the belief that you think is true, which is the total opposite. It's you believing that there is no way out of the situation. It's you believing that there is no silver lining here. It's you. You are choosing that. That is you. That is your perception based off your own expectations and what you assume the only options are. But those options, you created those. Or even if you want to say society created those. People created those. People who are not you. If that is their truth, let it be their truth. Bless. Let them live that truth. And the universe will give them evidence of that. Their truth doesn't have to be yours. Do not let anyone try to shame you or make you feel badly for being optimistic. Don't allow anyone to do that to you. How many times have you talked to somebody, worked with somebody, or someone in your family, and they just have this air of optimism? No matter what happens in their life or in the world, they are always able to find the silver lining. They feel their feelings, or they grieve, or they go through whatever they go through emotionally, and they're still always able to come back and say, but this is okay. All is well. Yes, I'm feeling this and this and this, and that's okay because I know this is still a good thing. There's good in this. And I'm choosing to acknowledge the good in it, even if I can't physically see it right now. How many times have you known people like that who are just always optimistic? And either you've done it or you know someone in your circle, maybe your coworkers, and it just irked your last nerve. Okay? Let's talk about it. Like, we got to talk about it. We got to talk about it, family. Come on now. How many times has someone's positivity and optimistic attitude and behaviors about circumstances got on your last nerve? Or do you know somebody who reacts that way? Do you have like that one coworker where someone says, okay, Jan gets on my last nerve because Jan is always happy. She's always peppy, or she's always optimistic. It seems like nothing really phases Jan, like nothing really bothers Jan. Like if there's a problem, Jan is like, okay, I see we have a problem here, but you know what? We can fix this. It'll be fine. And that just gets on your last nerve. And you're like, damn it, Jan. If you don't throw a paper clip at somebody, like, right? And I don't mean the toxic positivity, which we are going to come back around to that. I mean, just doesn't sweat the small stuff, knows that, okay, this is what it is. I accept this and we're going to fix it. Or, okay, I see what's going on here, but that's okay. It's not a big deal. It's fine. And just seems her way of dealing with life, it appears to be almost effortless. because Jen is simply aware that everything isn't a big deal. She's learned that sometimes you just can't sweat the small stuff. Or she's understood that there's a silver lining in this. There's a way that this can still turn out to be a good thing. All is still well. Things are still always going to work out. Things are still working out. I'm still going to receive the best case scenario of all of this. And that just burns some people up. Why? My personal opinion is I think we are so conditioned to be combative, to be defensive, and to be pessimistic, and to always make every decision from a place of fear. I believe that our society has conditioned us to stay in that frequency. And so it's easy now. It's like a second nature. People wear it like they wear their skin. So the minute someone appears to be a little bit more outside the realm of acceptable positivity, right? Like you're only allowed to be positive in doses. You can't look at everything as, okay, this is okay, but all's well though. Like this is not a big deal. You're not allowed to always seek out the light in the darkness. Okay? Or to always seek out the silver lining in the dark clouds. Or to make a conscious decision that you are going to feel better about yourself or about anything that you see in your 3D reality. It's as if we're conditioned to not go beyond a certain border. You can't go beyond a certain amount of positivity that it is acceptable. Because if you go beyond that, you're looked at like you're crazy, like you're delusional, like you're like you're insane, and like you're irrational. And then people can't understand that. They can't figure you out. And they become uncomfortable. They may want to step away from you. You might start to feel isolated. Or maybe your light intimidates them. Maybe your optimism is intimidating because maybe they have not found that truth yet. So they feel intimidated about how you can be going through so much mess in your life and still find some measure of peace in your heart. Still be kind, still be generous, still have compassion. And you're just going through a serious tower moment. And the natural response would be just for you to be mad at the world and freak out and pop off at everybody, anybody, but that's not what you're doing. That can be intimidating to some people because they don't understand how or where this sense of what appears to be pure positive energy and optimism is coming from, because in their mind, you have nothing to feel optimistic about. You have nothing to feel positive about. Look at your circumstances. How dare you smile through it? How dare you decide that all is still well? How dare you not be freaking the F out? How dare you still be kind and compassionate to people? How dare you still be so giving? How dare you still feel grateful? And you're optimistic and you're full of gratitude? Clutch the pearls. Do you see what I'm saying? So, to come back around to toxic positivity, Being optimistic is not toxic positivity. Toxic positivity is when you're invalidating your negative emotions or your the feelings that you have that you want to express that are natural depending on the circumstance. If someone passes away and you need to grieve, you grieve. But toxic positivity will try to get you to convince yourself, no, I can't grieve because that's low vibration, that's negative emotion. I can't feel that because I always have to be positive. And you're completely invalidating the other part of you that is this wonderful human experience, which is the sadness, which is the anger, the frustration, which is the grief. Like, we all experience these emotions: disappointment, betrayal. You are allowed to feel angry and frustrated and overwhelmed. You're allowed to have your moments of depression and anxiety. And still still affirm that this is temporary. And in spite of what I'm going through, I know that all is still well. In spite of what I'm going through, I know it's temporary because I wasn't here before. There was a time when I wasn't here. There was a time when I wasn't experiencing this. There was a time when I was not witnessing this. There was a time when I was not feeling this. And I'll get back to that time again. Optimism. Toxic positivity is trying to force feed yourself to stay in a positive state of mind, completely disregarding, suppressing any emotion outside of the realm of what would be considered positive. That is toxic. It is toxic for really a multitude of reasons, but mentally, it's toxic because we are multidimensional. We're complex creatures. You can't pretend like your body is not producing certain emotions and reactions to very rational and logical things that are transpiring. You can't invalidate an entire part of your very being for the sake of not messing up my manifestations, messing up my vibration. I got to stay positive, or, I got to uplift other people, or this and this and this stuff. That's a big one, especially if you're in the manifestation community and you're a coach or anything like that, or people come to you for services. I have struggled with that dynamic before until I decided that it's okay for me to not be okay on some days. And what I provide through my intuitive coaching and my workshops and my intuitive sessions is still just as valid. It's still valid. Even if I'm not okay one day, it's okay for me not to be okay. I'm not going to pretend that I am feeling great if I'm going through something and I'm hurting. I'm going to acknowledge that I'm hurting. But I also know enough to not dwell there. I will feel you. I will acknowledge you emotions. And I will still always affirm this is temporary and all is still well. There is still good here. I may not be able to see it yet, but there is good here. This is a good thing that's happening. It's happening for my highest good. So I'm just going to process it. I'm going to let it go through me. I'm going to feel it, and I'm going to let it go. Optimism. Because I know that it's just temporary and I'm going to be okay. I really had to have a talk with myself about that because I used to feel like a hypocrite. I used to feel very hypocritical if I was not at a high all the time, especially when I decided to do my business. Like, how in the world can I give intuitive coaching and intuitive sessions and, deliver messages that are going to help and inspire other people if I'm feeling down in the dumps? Like, how? If I'm not uber positive all the time, how can I deliver that? It has nothing to do with anything. Any channel messages that I get and I deliver them, they are for that person through their guides and my guides. That has nothing to do with how Tiffany is feeling. My emotions do not play a factor in whatever message is meant to come through me to give. That's my perspective. This is my opinion, okay? But in conclusion, I just wanted to have a quick talk about optimism. Optimism is your friend. It is not the villain. Love it, embrace it, appreciate it, show gratitude for it. Because optimism is a wonderful thing, and optimism has gotten a lot of people out of horrible situations, okay? Optimism is what allowed so many people, especially many of our people from the past and the ancestors and stuff like that, to survive long enough to get out of the circumstances that they were in. Optimism is a tool. Optimism is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And in my opinion, it is necessary. It's so necessary in my life. I have to find the light in everything. Because it exists. It has to exist. You can't have one without the other. Do not let anyone shame you for looking on the bright side. Do not let anyone demean you, condemn you, or judge you because you are making a choice to be more optimistic and spiral up instead of being pessimistic and spiraling down. Because remember, law of attraction is still working. Law of assumption is still working. Okay? So, of course, I'm going to prefer to err on the side of optimism, because if I'm deliberately seeking out something to be optimistic about, the universe, law of attraction, will make sure that it brings me more and more evidence of things to feel optimistic about. It's just how the world works. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you all so much. Look at me, a video under 30 minutes. What? Clap, clap, clap. Okay. Thank you all so much. Again, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon. A link to my website is in the description box below if you want to work with me. Have a fantastic evening or afternoon or morning, wherever you are. I love you so much, and I will be back with another video. Take care, and I'll see you soon.